the user physically entered wrong information.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know what to check for that.
You don't have a fake news checker on your in your code, right?
No, I don't. I'm sorry, but I believe in the power of my teammates.
I believe in the power of my...
Welcome to My Hill to Die On, episode 37.
Everyone has things they are passionate about.
Things we want our friends to try and experience.
So we've convinced each other to try different things.
And we talk about these experiences to see if we can get just one more person
to join us on our hill to die on.
Actually, I have a good question for you. We're now officially on spring break. So, why don't you tell me, what are your plans for this spring break?
Are you baiting me, Ryan?
Oh, I'm definitely baiting you. I am definitely baiting you, because I know exactly where this is going to go.
Actually, we mentioned this in our last episode, which we recorded a month ago to the day. I was looking that up. I was like, whew, it was a long time ago since we recorded the last episode.
Yeah, well, we did record, 3 episodes in a row, really in quick succession?
Yep. So I said that I was looking forward to spring break, and it is now spring break, Ryan, as you plainly said. And I was looking for Disney tickets. As I said, I was kind of hoping we could go to Disney this break. And I don't remember what happened. I found out on a day, you would come into my office that day, and I was really frustrated because I had found out 2 big pieces of frustrating news. I don't remember what the other one was now, but I remember one of them. I had lost all hope of getting Disney tickets is what it was. I had finally given up. I was like, oh my goodness, I lost all hope because I realized that I was reading Disney's website wrong. And I was trying to figure out if I was reading Disney's website wrong because I don't read enough Japanese. Okay, so anyway, let's go back to the beginning. So Disney's website, you can, because of the situations, they've been forcing you to buy online, which is fine, because I always bought online anyway.
The situation.
Because of the situation, the COVID situation. Well, and even the state of emergency, right? Like,
because we just got out of a state of emergency here in Japan.
Right, which is part of the reasoning. So I looked, I think even prior to the episode that we recorded last time, because usually they release tickets about a month ahead of the date. Yeah, they're releasing the tickets a month ahead now. They usually release them like 6 months ahead, but right now they're only releasing them a month ahead. So I was looking to see when they would come out. And here's where some of my language barrier failed me, is that there was an announcement on the site that I missed right away that said they're changing the ticket prices. And following the 19th of March, they're going to start, basically, instead of being one price for any day of the week, now they're going to start charging more on weekends and holidays, which is completely fine with me because never go to Disney on a weekend or holiday. That's just a bad idea in the first place. So sure, charge more because those suckers, you're going to a park that's crazy crowded. Yeah, go ahead and pay more for that. Anyway, that's like the worst day to go. So don't go on those days.
It's okay. I never go on weekends or holidays.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so fine. The website then said, the thing that I didn't quite realize was on the site that I happened to be looking at, because there's a few ways to go. You can like pick by day or pick by ticket. And I was in the pick by ticket window, which was usually the window to go because I look for the entry ticket. I mean, the park entry ticket, which again, there was only one of them up until the 19th of March. But now, of course, with their new structure, there's like 4 different ones because of the different days you can go, so you have to pick that. So because there was only one ticket before, when you would do it by type of ticket, I would go there because it was easiest because you could click there and then you could click through all the days and to see what days were open. And that ticket kept saying it's only available to the 19th. So I said, oh, okay, that's fine. Only available to the 19th. They're going to release more tickets later is what I thought that meant. But they were meaning that, no, that ticket, that particular type of ticket is only available to the 19th because they're going to call the new types of tickets a whole different name, which you have to scroll down to see. And I never scrolled down far. Well, I scrolled down far enough to see it, but I didn't understand that that's what that meant. I didn't understand that the weekday tickets were going to be a different type of ticket. And then I had to scroll down to see it, so I missed it. And now it's still all sold out, so I've now missed my opportunity to go to Disney this week, which, is fine. But it was just frustrating that it was a lack of me reading their Japanese and me understanding that I needed to scroll down further to see the type of ticket I wanted to buy in late March. So yeah, I was frustrated at that. So their website's not excellent, It's not bad. It walks you through the process. And if I had, and see, here's where the other frustrating thing was. If I had picked by day, it would have displayed the tickets that I would be using. It wouldn't have been a problem as much, but because I wanted to pick by type of ticket, I failed. So again, and the other thing that's confusing is usually when you pick a ticket day that is booked, that is fully booked, there's wording that says it's fully booked.
Yeah.
When I looked in December, when we purchased our tickets in December, there was wording that says it's fully booked. And then there was wording that says it's not available yet because you're looking too early. Like when I was buying in December, if I looked later in January, it would said, oh, these tickets aren't available yet. They're not even ready for sale yet. But then there was also wording for the dates in December that I was looking around that said, oh, this day is fully booked. You can't buy this day. So there was two kinds of wording. But right now, there seems to only be one kind of wording that says the tickets aren't for sale. Which apparently means they're fully booked. So it's disappointing that they've lost some clarity there too, where is it not for sale yet? Or is it not for sale because it's fully booked? The wording is not specific enough in Japanese. So I'm a little disappointed in that too. I'm disappointed in that one because my hope was maintained long enough, because I was sometimes clicking on the date of the other days too, but I thought because the wording just said it's not for sale, meaning that it was not for sale yet. And I believe that, no, it was for sale. I just missed it. So my hopes would have been sooner dashed if the wording had been updated, and probably would have been still frustrating. But if I had learned, 2 weeks earlier that I had missed my opportunity to buy tickets, I would have at least accepted it easier, I think. Instead of learning like a week before break, like, oh, I'm looking in the wrong place. Like they're not releasing the tickets after the 19th. Something's up. Oh, they are. I missed it. If I had learned 2 weeks earlier that I missed it, which is what I would have expected, then I would not have been so hard on myself probably. So anyway, I was a little frustrated. It's, in the end, it's fine. We've got a nice break planned. We'll do some other things. And on the day I got my hopes dashed, I started looking around. That's when I found the announcement on Disney's site that, oh, there's different ticket prices. And I started looking around because I was like, I think I'm going to need a plan B here because we're getting a week before break and nothing's happened. So I started looking around for some plan Bs. We're actually deciding to scale back on break anyway. But we will have a good break, but we'll just make it simpler. And hopefully we'll do something bigger in June, perhaps.
When the world is hopefully a little bit more open.
Hopefully a little bit more open. We'll have to see if that's really true or not. But basically we had decided to ended up not going to a hotel. And even if we had gone to Disney, we would have done, I think, one night at one of the hotels around Disney. So it wouldn't have been a very big hotel thing. But I was looking at some hotels. We had decided eventually not to go to a hotel because we were like, what are we doing when we go to a hotel? What do we do when we get there? So if it's just to go to a hotel, we can sleep in a different room in our house and get the same feeling. There are other reasons to go to hotels, I understand, but I think we'll do more of a hotel with a purpose perhaps in June, I think is what we're trying to do. And then maybe do Disney in June as well or something. We'll spend more money all at once on another time.
Save your money now so you can spend more of it later.
Exactly. Again, I want to see the new stuff they've opened in Disney. What is it? New Bell's Castle and a Baymax ride, something like that. So I'm kind of curious to see that. The soaring ride in Disney Sea, we mentioned earlier, was pretty fun. So anyway, they have some new things, so I'd like to see it.
Yeah, well, maybe over the summer.
Anyway, sorry. Another time. Hey, we live in the area. We'll just go another time.
Yeah.
It is very nice to live near Disneyland.
So given all that, you're just scaling back your break and sticking around for the most part?
Yeah, pretty much. We'll do maybe 1 or 2 day trips. Like today we did the Hanami, and we'll do some more things like that.
I already know you have an exciting passport trip coming up.
Yeah, I still have the passport trip and
power shut off.
And the power shut off at school. Yep. So those are still coming up. And then we'll do 1 or 2 more things, I think, after that. So we'll see. Maybe we were looking at potentially going to some outlets. Yeah, so we'll see. Because I thought, we'll go to Karuizawa, and if we go to Karuizawa, there's outlets up there. Then we're like, well, there's outlets around here too, so we could go to the ones here. Why do we have to travel and stay in a hotel to do outlets when there are some around here? So we're thinking about that. So yeah, unfortunately, all the reasons we came up to go somewhere were like, we could do those here. Yeah, kind of ruined all of our vacations. But this is good. It's good in some ways because it keeps us around here, which is again why some of those Hanami parks were closed, because they just don't want people traveling. So, and we did some Hanami today. Hanami is Japanese for, what is it called? Flower viewing?
Flower viewing, yeah.
Because about this time of year, every year, all the sakura trees, all the cherry trees turn a very nice pink color. So there are some parks in our area that have a bunch of trees. So we went to one of those parks today and sat ate some breakfast. We got up early enough that we could go eat breakfast there because we were trying to beat some of the rush. And it did get pretty busy at lunchtime, so
Yeah.
packed up and left. But yeah, it was fun. Lots of trees around. Did you do anything on me today?
No, I didn't. Why would I go outside and, be around people?
Yeah, well, that is a good concern.
Well, not just that. I've talked about this for the past couple of weeks to you, but this time of the year, my allergies tend to kill me.
Oh, yeah, I know. I had pretty bad this week.
Like, there are times of the year where I worry that I'm absolutely useless during certain times of the year. This being one of them.
Yep.
And so I get headaches and I'm tired all the time because my allergies really just kick me in the butt.
And I think I'm really now finally coming off of my cold. Do you think it's starting up for you again, or are you coming off of? How are you doing?
I think I'm on the uptick. I'm going good.
Good.
I think that the last 2 weeks especially have been just so awful. I have felt awful because I haven't gotten to do like anything because I've been just so tired all the time and all these things where I've just felt like I have just slept away the past 2 weeks. But what can you say? I have become the source of much anger towards a lot of people who are upset that I haven't been keeping up on shows. Because they want to talk about things with me.
I know.
And I've been more focused on getting other things done.
By the way, actually, speaking of that, did you post your channel yet?
I've not posted the channel yet. I finished doing the audio recording today. I am going to be posting at least one episode over spring break, if not two. So the channel that I'm making, because I plan on doing a bunch of things talking about storyline and focusing on what makes good stories for video games and things like that, I thought it would be a fun name to go under. So all those videos will be on the channel called 2-Bit Storyteller. Mostly because I thought having a fun name is best, and I have the curse of loving puns. Past 2 weeks, I've been so exhausted because of my allergies that I have not even felt like I can do anything. So I've been getting home and just wanting to fall asleep after work each day. And it's not due to like work or anything. It's just the fact that I've felt so under the weather that I just have not been able to do anything. So that being said, I spent this morning finishing up the script. I spent this afternoon recording it. And then I spent the first half of this evening doing editing on that.
Good.
So I did at least 2 takes for each line and just pick the better one, cut it down, and then move it to where I left off. And then once I have the entire audio done, then I just slap that in and then do the video part. In the video part, I have all the recording done. I know what I want to put where. So it's just about grab the clip, put it in, grab the clip, put it in, grab the clip, put it in. And then, I'm sure that as I do that, the perfectionist in me will kick in and I'll take twice as long as I mean to.
Yeah. You can always do more editing. That's the problem.
My problem is the fact that the audio tends to be where I have more of my perfectionism come out. And so right now, in me going through and just picking out the best of the takes, I am honestly being obnoxiously obsessive about some of these. Like, this one, I put the emphasis on this word, and this one, I put the emphasis on this word. Which emphasis is better? Which gets the point across more?
Yeah, you gotta stay away from that.
But I've been moving at a pretty decent clip, and I should be able to finish the audio edit early tomorrow. And then what I'd like to do is post that video, which is my more research-based video, sometime this week. And then the other video that I was talking about doing, which is more of my storytelling video, which is a lot easier to do. Well, I say a lot easier, a lot less research-based writing. And so the script is easier for me to construct. I'd like to finish that this week because, I don't have a Monday through Friday job this week. And so I'll have time. And I'd like to be able to, if not make strides towards that one, get that one ready to go by the end of either this week or the following week, which would mean that by the time this episode goes up, I should have the first 2 videos up on the channel.
So the storytelling one is on the story. Do you have 2 channels?
No,
for the different videos? Same channel for all the videos?
No, they're both on the same channel.
Okay.
So 2-Bit Storyteller is basically both the analyzing story structure and storytelling. I have them all on one channel, but it's all under the 2-Bit Storyteller channel. Umbrella, yes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting those going because I've had a lot of fun making this in my non-existent free time, which is why this has taken me about a month longer than I meant for it to. But again, the past 2 weeks I've been out of commission, so I'm going to say that really it's only been 2 weeks delay then, right?
And the first things always take more time.
Yes.
Because you're deciding everything, how everything has to look, how everything has to feel.
Yeah. And to be completely fair, I've already done 3 complete recordings of this script. The first one I recorded was basically a chopped up version where I would say something, stop the recording, then say something, stop the recording, say something, stop the recording. And so I ended up with like 12 different tracks that ended up being the whole script and trying to piece all of that together. After I did that and realized that that was awful, I revised a few parts of the script and then redid it. And then in listening to that as I was cutting it down, I realized that it felt too much like I was giving a report and not very much like I was putting any of my personality into it. And so I said, no, this isn't the type of channel I would want to watch, and this isn't the type of channel I would want to be. And so I rewrote it a third time to get the feel for, like, this is the type of expression I want to give. These are the types of things that I would want to say, and put more of my own personality into it rather than giving a report. And so I'm happy with the way it turned out on this recording. I might have to make a few tweaks, do a sentence or two where I'll re-record it, but so far I'm happy with the way that everything turned out and sounds.
Good.
So yeah, by the time this episode gets posted in 2 weeks from now, I should have definitely the first video up, hopefully the first 2 videos up.
Yeah, sounds good to me. That's going to be exciting.
So yeah, if anybody likes thinking about stories or thinking about games, you can find that channel at 2-Bit Storyteller on YouTube.
I had 2 tasks today.
Oh?
I failed at the second one. One was to finish the book. I finished the book.
Okay, good. Was the second one to find the last of your animals?
Yeah, the second one was to do my rewind in my Disco Zoo. I'm still not there yet. I've got 1.5 million coins to spend, down from my 14 million that I started with probably 2 weeks ago now. My goodness, I can't spend my money fast enough. So I am so close to my rewind. I was kind of hoping to finish because I'd be like, finally, I rewinded.
You can start all over again.
I'm probably 2 days away, I think, still. Because I need to be working on things now and not playing my Disco Zoo game.
What?
You know what? It's not important. But I'll play Disco Zoo while you're talking about your game.
Oh, I see how this is. All right, so I have a really interesting one that I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
So the game that I want to talk about is actually the game that I am in the midst of playing right now. And it's called Wander Song.
Okay.
So Wander Song is the story of a bard, so a singer. The game opens with the bard meeting a messenger of the goddess in a dream. The messenger is trying to find the hero who is going to help take the world to its next step. And it's revealed in the first, 30 seconds of the game that the bard is not the hero. So this is a story about somebody who is not the hero of the story.
What are you playing it on, the PS4 or Switch?
I'm playing it on PS4. So the premise of the game is the messenger was trying to find the hero because the world is ending. That's basically the premise, but it is just a happy, cheery game so far. And again, I have not even beaten it yet. I just want to talk about this game because it's a fun, fun game. Because, for example, there is a button on your controller that gives you the ability to dance whenever you want.
Mhm.
So in the middle of the most dramatic scenes possible, you can just push that button, and in the middle of people talking about the end of the world, you can just be sitting there dancing. It's very interesting because you do end up meeting the character who is the hero, the prophesied hero of the story, and you actually come in conflict with them a lot. So there are certain scenes where the bard is dealing with the fact that he's not the hero of this story. He's just a bard.
So he kind of has to push or pressure the hero to do the right things.
Well, they actually conflict a lot more than that. He does at certain points push the hero to do the right thing, and the hero generally doesn't do the right thing, at least not from the bard's perspective.
Mm.
But that's the thing, is the bard is trying to go around gathering this earth song from the overseers, and the hero's job is actually to kill the overseers before they bring monsters into the world. Because as they live longer and longer, they get corrupted and whatnot. And so the hero is going around killing these overseers, and the bard's trying to learn this song from the overseers, and it turns into a bit of a race. So I don't know how this story is going to end yet.
Mm-hmm.
So far, it is just a story that's filled with so much heart. It basically feels like a cheery game that has fun with itself, but also is genuinely like just trying to be like, hey, I'm going to be a positive experience and a positive outlook on things in the world. And like I said, there's that one scene where the bard is dealing with the fact that he's not the hero of the story.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of goes into a bit of a period of what seems like depression. And so him dealing with that and then being like, okay, so I'm not the hero of the story, and how he comes to grips with that and is very interesting. It is more lighthearted, so it's not actually like him really digging deep into some sort of emotional catharsis, but actually thinking about like the power of friendship and things like that. But it's so dopey and cheerful that I just love it. It just makes you feel good to play this game.
The colors look fun on the website.
And the entire time you are like communicating anything to people, you actually are singing everything you're telling people. Honestly, all the puzzles are done through singing things into working. So at one point you are on a boat and you have to sail to certain islands, and how you get to those islands is you actually sing a certain note which directs the boat to go in that direction. So based on the key of the note that you're singing, the boat will turn in a different direction, which the key is just controlled by a note wheel. So you just push the joystick in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's things like that, but it's really, really optimistic and positive. And so it's one of those things where it has that really like, oh no, the world's going to end, but it's still so joyful and optimistic that it just makes you happy. It is a game that genuinely just feels joyful, and you feel joyful when you play it.
Yeah, looks neat.
So far, I am really enjoying it. I don't think it's a long game, but then again, I have not had a whole lot of time to play in the past little bit of time. But I think I'm probably about 5-6 hours into the game. So I'm probably about halfway, if not a little bit past. But yeah, Wander Song. Really, really positive and optimistic.
So we have a drink today from the same staff member that gave us the Sakura Cola, right? Is that
Yeah,
right?
and I think this is even like same brand company as the Sakura Chibi Maruko Cola.
Yeah, I'm wondering. The other one didn't have a brand, but I did look up the show notes for the previous episode. Like, this does seem to be like in a pack.
Yeah.
But this one is Mikan Cola. So based on our last experience, which was a Sakura Cola, which was a pink drink that tasted like Coke or cola.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely an orange drink. I wonder if it's going to taste like cola also.
I'm hoping that I'm going to get a little bit more Mikan flavor on this one. I like Mikan flavored things.
This has only 1% fruit juice, but that's not saying much since Fanta has 1% fruit juice too, so, you know. Not a very telling sign.
Yeah, I mean, you can have things that taste like juice that are not juice.
They've gotten very good at that.
Mm-hmm.
It's much cheaper, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm hopeful for this one, but I'm also not holding my breath.
It is a very nice bottle again, like last time.
Yep. I'm getting whiffs of cola smell, like
Yeah,
traditional cola.
not much orange smell.
No,
So, I wonder what it'll be. I'm not sure I taste much Mikan.
I do, but
It's little.
it tastes like you have a Coca-Cola or some other kind of cola, and then you also have a orange Fanta, and you mix the two at a ratio of maybe 80% cola to 20% orange Fanta. Yes, clearly I'm sitting here actually measuring this out with a whole scientific process.
Well, I was gonna say 2-1, but that's pretty much the same. 66%, 2-1 Coke and 1 Fanta. But yeah, it's pretty much the same. It's more Coke than orange.
You get like glimpses of the orange soda taste.
Yeah, the Coke overrides it most of the time, or the cola flavor. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not Coke. Yeah,
It's a little too bad too, because I was kind of hoping for more orange.
I was too.
I do like a good orange drink.
Same. Which is why I was sitting here going, I really hope this is good. I have such high hopes for it. And it's good.
Not bad. It's drinkable.
Yeah, I mean, same deal with the Sakura one. I'm not opposed to this. I just was hoping for more.
Yeah, it's hope stashed.
Yeah, it's good. It's just not great.
What did we say last time? 6?
I think we said 6 last time.
Yeah, maybe this is 6th again also, but
I would agree.
for similar reasons.
Where we are expecting something, get something else, and go, it's still good.
Yeah. It's not the WoW level.
No.
So, Kit Kats. My wife actually gave me one of these Kit Kat plums for my lunch.
Yeah?
She goes, "Here, Nate, here's for lunch." I'm like, "No, wait, this is for the podcast. I can't eat this for lunch yet." So I said, "Like, you can't send me these Kit Kats." It's like, wait, are they all eaten up? Did somebody eat them all up? And one of my daughters was like, "Well, I didn't have mine today." I was like, "Oh, can I have it back?" I rescued so that I at least have 2, but my kids ate the rest of them. So I guess they're good. I don't really know because they didn't say anything that they were bad. So I stashed away the rest of the Kit Kats that for the future podcast. I was like, no, don't touch them.
Okay, so I've got a tin. When I gave you the bags for the other one, I just took half of each of the bags and put them into this tin that sits in my refrigerator because I'm crazy and like cold Kit Kats. And so constantly on one of the shelves in my refrigerator, which is really sad because I look at my refrigerator today and I have orange juice, milk, butter, and a tin full of Kit Kats in my refrigerator right now, which means I need to go grocery shopping tomorrow.
Well, I think because my wife bought the peach parfait and this ume one here.
Yep.
I think because she bought those, she put them in with the candies.
Ah.
So I think that's where the mix-up happened. And I was like, oh, okay, I got to claim some and put them away somewhere else. So because she put them in with all the other chocolates.
Yeah. Well, if you lose the others, just let me know because I keep a tin.
You keep it. No, I stashed. I'm good. All right, so today we have Kit Kat Ume.
Yes.
Which, again, I think is the last one that my wife purchased for us.
Yeah.
For now, anyway.
Which ume is plum.
Yes, it is a plum. I think it's all plums, right? I mean, they do have sourish plums in Japan here, but I think ume is just the word that means all plums.
Yeah, ume is plum. If you have like the pickled plums, they become umeboshi.
Yes.
But for a just regular plum, it's ume.
Alrighty, let's see. What color is it?
It is a green color.
Whoa, green.
Yeah.
Smells sweet.
Smells very sweet. All right, I'm going to try one of these.
Well, I would agree it's plum flavored.
I feel the same way that I feel about the peach one.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's got an excellent balanced flavor. It doesn't feel overwhelming like some of the other ones, and it doesn't feel like a disproportionate mix like the others. It feels like a nice, smooth ume flavor.
I mean, if anything, it's overly sweet, but again, we talked about it last time too. It's Kit Kat. That's what you're getting.
What else do you expect? I mean, do you expect it to be a healthy tasting Kit Kat?
It's not granola flavored.
No. You're getting a Kit Kat. You should expect a oppressive amount of sugar.
Yep. But yeah, I would say it's a smooth
Mhm.
plum flavor. I think that's a good way to describe it. I mean, the green color is quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's slightly more green than the wrapper.
Which is a pale green color.
Right. Slightly more neon than the wrapper, right?
Mm.
I think I like the peach a little better.
Yeah, maybe.
This is good flavor, but
You know, it's been too long since I had the peach.
I know.
I think it is good. I don't know which one I would put above the other, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're both right up beside each other. Although, that being said, I'd be intrigued to try an umeboshi flavored Kit Kat.
I'm not sure I would. I'm not a very big fan of umeboshi. I do like the tang of this cat, though.
Yeah. Umeboshi is really good. It's really sour. And so for me, I'd be very intrigued to see what they would come up with when they put it in a sweet Kit Kat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think it'd be awful, but I think it'd be hilarious to try.
Be funny to try. That's true. That's true. Because the book deals with things in the future.
Timey-wimey things.
Timey-wimey things, yes. That's a better way to say it. It deals with timey-wimey things. We decided to yet again embarrass ourselves by picking things that aren't actually going to happen. Oh, no, just kidding.
Oh, come on. I mean, last time we thought about all the things that we wanted for the future, and they definitely are all really close to happening now.
Oh, really close.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, that was one of the things I was thinking. Do I pick something that will be out of date by the time the episode posts? Because I think the last time when we did the Robinsons and we picked 2 future things, I think Apple had made their announcement by the time we posted the episode, but that's okay.
Yeah, I do believe that they did.
And you know what? You still can't run macOS on an iPad. So, nope, I lost on that one. Too bad. Although you can pretty much almost run iOS on a Mac now.
Almost.
Not many people do it, and I don't have any Macs that can do it. So, or not many people allow it, and I don't have any Macs that can do it.
Yeah, I don't have a Mac that'll do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not even on Big Sur yet, so I'm losing out on everything.
Yeah, I mean, I have Big Sur. It's just the fun little other things that of running iOS apps cannot do that yet because I don't have the right processor.
We should listen back to that. I should listen back to my picks. Did I write our picks down? I did. I wrote, okay.
What did we pick?
You wrote a stylish heads-up display, which is still far enough out that you might still get that.
Yeah.
And actually, well, the renderings on Apple's things are looking more stylish, so you might actually get that. I wrote professional Mac Mini, which has actually been rumored, but it's still rumors, so it scares me. I'm not sure there's enough to do that, but interestingly, that it's closer than I expected. You wrote OmniFocus sharing of tasks.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna come really soon.
They didn't announce it in their current roadmap, so that was disappointing. I did listen to their 2021 roadmap, and I was like, oof, they left it off.
Have they just given up?
I hope not. That sounded like a really good thing, so I'm a little bit disappointed.
I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, we'll have to see where that goes. And then I wrote dual boot macOS on an iPad Pro, so yeah, has not happened, although they have made their own ARM-based Macs, but no dual booting yet. Although I do wonder when that will happen. I wonder if at some point will you be able to boot iOS on a Mac. Now, it's weird because you can't touch anything, so it would be very hard to use, but could you install iPadOS on an M1 Mac? Has nobody tried that yet?
I don't know.
I don't have the skills to do it, but
all these are things that we wished for the future, and many of them, yeah, still
out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much only one of mine has been, well, I guess technically maybe OmniFocus is kind of shot down too. It's not looking as promising as it did when you said it.
Yeah, you know.
Mine is shot down. Well, not as promising as when I said it, maybe. Also, I guess it's probably the same case. Professional Mac Mini might actually happen. But again, still rumors, so.
Yeah.
All right, so these things are going to happen this time, right, Ryan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. What are you thinking as a wish for the future for you?
Yeah, as a wish for the future for me. Yeah.
Or a hope or a dream or a thing that you'd like to see.
I think I'm going to start with a hope. And I think I'm going to be, I don't know, cheesy?
You're going to say world peace.
No, I wasn't going to say world peace. But I think one of the things that I constantly pray for I don't know why this came to my head pretty quickly when we were taking, this is what we're going to talk about. Hopes are things for the future. And the hope that came to my mind was that all three of my daughters have good husbands. It is something I pray for regularly, but that is a hope that I definitely have. Far away from this at the moment still, since my oldest daughter just entered middle school. So, and my youngest daughter is in first grade.
Well, you never know with getting... I'm just playing with you.
No, still far away. But anyway, so this is not going to expire by the time we record next. But will we still be recording when one of my daughters is getting married? We'll have to see. Somebody remind us and tell us, bring this up front again. But yeah, definitely a hope that my daughters will have good husbands. That is a far off hope still, but that's something that's like, oh, hope for the future. Yeah, I got one of those. And it's something I constantly pray for. So that's a little bit too sappy.
No, I think that's good. I was joking about the world peace thing, but I guess if we're going to talk about things like that, one of the hopes that I have is I do hope that the divisiveness that has been more and more prevalent over the past couple of years, not just in American politics, not just in things like that, but there's been a lot of divisiveness around the world, and I'd like to see that decrease. I say decrease and not go away because I know that as long as people have differences, there will be some level of divisiveness.
Well, there will always be disagreements.
There will always be disagreements.
It's how we handle them is the problem, right?
It's the vitriolic us versus them that I'd like to see go away. I say over the past couple of years because all around the world, there's been a very much an us versus them mentality growing in many different nations, where many nations were, before all this stuff happened, were starting to become more and more, I hate to use the word because many people will rage against certain terminology, but nationalistic, where they were very focused on themselves and putting themselves first above everything else, above other people, above cooperation with other nations, above finding peace and finding a middle ground, where it was a focus on us. Many nations were very focused and inwardly focused, and that kind of focus where you're so focused on that inward aspect rather than any sort of cooperation does lead to an increase of those disagreements. And so for me, if we're talking about hopes for the futures, hopes for finding some sort of middle ground, some sort of decrease in the venom that is hurled at each other, that would be my hope, that we could find some way to, at the very least, decrease the us versus them mentality that seems so absolutely prevalent today around the world.
That sounds good.
Should we go with something a little bit less
deep? Yeah, I was going to go with a thing now, a specific thing.
That sounds good.
And as the arbiter, can I pick the same thing I picked last time? Because it is now more relevant.
In my eternal and wise judgment, I say, go for it.
I'm going to pick the Mac Mini Pro again.
Well, why don't you, for those people out there who did not listen to episode 14.
14, my goodness, it's been 20 episodes ago. Our school generously, because I'm the IT director, I get to decide, but our school generously gives us 4 years for our computers. And my computer is 4 years old, so I get to pick a new one. And I'm actually delaying my choice to see what's being announced. One of the reasons is because I usually choose the Proer of the MacBook Pros, so either a upper end 13 inches in the past, but my last one I got a 15-inch MacBook Pro. So I am interested in at least that level, and there hasn't been a new one of those for a little while, so it's a little premature if I want that kind of computer. But there are those rumors of a Mac Mini Pro. Normally our staff have to pick laptops because of how we ask our staff to use computers, but I have a lot of devices already.
Really?
Do I really need another laptop, Ryan?
Not if you also have a iPad Pro.
Yes, I'm thinking I could probably get away with a desktop this year, because hopefully it would give me faster for the same, slightly cheaper price even.
That'd be nice.
So I'm kind of hoping for that. I would be still pleased with a MacBook Pro, 15, 16. I guess they're 16 inches now, aren't they? You got the 16-inch, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
It is. I really like it.
Yeah, because you have the new keyboard too, right?
Mm-hmm. Why do you think I went with it?
Wouldn't that be nice? A new keyboard instead of a butterfly keyboard? I would like that. Anyway, so yeah, I'm really kind of hoping that there is a Mac Mini Pro because I am not able to afford a Mac Pro. They're
Expensive?
out of my price range. Yeah, I can't justify it. I mean, I do use my computer a lot, but not $6,000 a lot. So, or 7,000 or whatever it costs, whatever the model I would need to get costs, it is not worth it for me. So I need to aim lower, which I'm fine with. But so I'm kind of hoping that there's a Mac Mini Pro kind of thing where, so to describe exactly what I think that would be, I guess, is a machine that you could change the RAM on, a machine that you could put in more than one drive. Now, interestingly, I don't know what that would actually mean.
Yeah, what kind of connection are you talking about? Are you talking...
Yeah, it might be PCI. I mean, it might be through PCI cards. Because of all the T2 Macs that are out there, the drive has been integrated into the motherboard for security reasons. So let's just say that likely the boot drive is internal and soldered in and you can't change it. But would Apple consider putting... I mean, I think the Mac Pro has SATA ports so that you can attach a carrier and then attach more drives, which is a fine way of doing it. Would Apple put NVMe slots on the motherboard? That would be interesting too, so that you could install NVMe SSD sticks right on the board. That would be kind of interesting. And I guess I was kind of thinking that it would have at least one, possibly two PCI slots. And again, because I don't need amazing fast graphics cards, it doesn't need to be that fancy schmancy connection they made for the Mac Pro. You know, I also think that's actually one of the ways Apple could distinguish this. Like, you know what? If you just need a little bit of expansion, like I probably only need a little bit of expansion, just a straight PCI slot would be fine enough for me. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So that way it distinguishes, yes, I am a pro that does not need the amazing pro stuff.
You are a pro who doesn't need the proiest of pros.
Right, exactly, yes. So, yeah, that's an interesting way to distinguish it. If I had one or two PCI slots, then I could install potentially a capture card to capture HDMI signal and a card that could hold NVMe drives or something like that. I used to have the PowerMac G3 and G4 towers, and I used to have a mirror drive door G4 tower. It was great. I had it tricked out with 4 hard drives in it. They were all spinning, so it was really slow. But, you know, it was nice. I had some big storage, you know, and having a Time Machine backup right inside is kind of nice. Back then I didn't have that because Time Machine wasn't around, but thinking about it now would be kind of nice to do that. So anyway, things like that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking our Mac Mini Pro would look like. Changeable RAM, the ability to have more than one drive, whether that's through PCI slots or through ports on the motherboard, one of the two ways. And then again, the aforementioned PCI slots, at least having one or two of them. 2 would probably be preferable. And for me, it would only need to be PCI, not fancy schmancy graphics card, whatever slot thing the Mac Pro has. I forget what it is, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah, sounds nice.
We'll see. It's kind of a wish. I still kind of think it's far off, so I'm not counting on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what do you got for a thing?
A thing? I'd like a PS5 to be in stock.
Ooh, that's not a bad thing.
But it's already out. Is the problem.
Well, in stock. In stock was a good qualifier.
Yeah, in stock would be nice. So I'm just going to say this because this is the thing that I do genuinely want the most right now. Is I have been on the hunt for a PlayStation 5 to be in stock for the past couple of months. There are a couple of websites that I keep an eye on when they drop things, but the problem is most of the more common drops right now of new stock are happening in the United States.
Where do they make these units? I mean, Sony's a Japanese company, but they don't make them here, I guess, huh?
I do not know where they are making them. The problem is, in Japan, if you want them, they have them, they drop them, but they do the lottery system.
Oh, because Japan is organized.
Yeah. The problem with the lottery system, though, is you have to wait for the tickets for the lottery to go up.
So everybody who gets a ticket gets a PS5.
Everyone who gets a ticket gets entered into the lottery to see if they get the chance to buy a PS5.
Well, but then what happens if you buy a ticket and you don't get a PS5? You're in the
No,
next
no, no.
lottery?
You don't buy a ticket. You get a ticket to get
Okay.
the pleasure and opportunity to buy a PS5.
Okay.
The problem is,
When your credit card bounces, it goes to the next person. Sorry.
if you are unable to be contacted or something like that, your number, after a certain number of times, they'll just move on to the next person.
Mm.
But the problem with that is the ticket windows to get a ticket are usually like 2 days, and the sites are all in Japanese. And I have, on at least 4 or 5 different occasions, missed the window by like an hour because I did not go to check that specific website for a couple of days, and then suddenly,
There are websites that will alert you if a website changes.
oh yeah, I know.
Okay. You just haven't signed up for one of them yet.
Yeah. So the other side of things is, for example, the Amazon.com, when they get stock, it's a whole bunch of stock, but Amazon.jp, when they get stock, it's like enough to last you 30 seconds.
Because scalpers are picking them up, right?
Yeah. So it's basically on a lot of the websites that I am signed up for alerts on, they're picked up by scalpers so quickly that I just don't get a chance.
Mm.
So all this to say, I really just want a PS5. Among other things, I currently have a PS4 that I bought about a year after release from the PS4 generation.
Oh, really?
And it's lasted me this long, which is good. But the problem is, about halfway into the PS4 lifetime, they released what is called the PS4 Pro, which is able to run things faster, go at a faster speed, yada, yada, yada.
Mm.
But my system has been working, so why get a new one? Plays the exact same games. There's no real reason outside of the increased speeds. The PS5 plays all your PS4 games. So part of the reason why I'm also really wanting to do this is because this means that then, in addition to being able to play the new games, I can play all my older games at a much faster rate and not have to wait through as much or as long of loading times. And all this to say, I just want the PS5 to be in stock somewhere. And for one to just happen to be available for me. Because I can tell you now, I've caught Amazon.jp twice where they've had actual retail stock and not scalpers.
Mm.
And both times I got the item in my cart, and as I'm clicking checkout, they've run out of stock.
Oh, my. That's very close.
So it adds to the fact that I am upset about this. Simply because I was that close.
Oh.
So after much weeping and gnashing of teeth, I still don't have a PS5.
Someday that will come.
Someday. And quite honestly, I know that I'm going to get it someday. I'm pretty sure that worst case scenario, when I go home to visit my family over the summer, if I don't have one by that point, I will probably be able to get a hold of one while I'm in the States. I understand this fact. I logically can come to grips with this fact. It doesn't change that I want one.
For all we know, you might have it by the time the episode comes out. You and me, we both might have our things by the time the episode comes out.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice. I mean, I'm just going to be fair and say I have specifically set money aside for the PS5 since I knew it was coming out. And it's just been sitting in the bank for, I want to say it's now approaching a year since they officially announced the release date. I mean, it's only been out for 6-7 months.
But they announced it months earlier.
About a year ago now. So, what can I say? Plus, let's be fair, there's also several games on PS5 that I do really want to play. So, shikatanai.
Yeah, yours might have, I think, a better chance.
Oh, yeah.
If their Apple does actually have something like this that they're working on, mine might not be announced until WWDC, because that's the audience for mine.
I'm reasonably sure that while I'm griping about this, I was thinking, oh, what else could I say? There's a bunch of things that I could dream about having in the future. Like, hey, I'd be down for having a self-driving car that actually I don't even have to be in the front driver's seat. That'd be nice.
We've got some lofty goals and some concrete goals.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can have feedback on the concrete ones pretty soon to our audience, perhaps.
Yeah, I can tell you that I'd like to see the lofty goal achieved soon as well.
That's true, too, yeah.
So, people of the world, get on that. I'm intrigued to see where this conversation goes, because based on things that you said earlier, I'm wondering what I'm going to have to say, basically.
So, Ryan, what is this week here? What did you bring to the table this week?
Well, this week, I know how much you love time travel stories and timey-wimey things, and I read this story that I really, really loved called This Is How You Lose the Time War, and I just thought it was an excellent story and wanted to have you read it and see what your opinion of it was. It is written by two separate authors who worked together and each wrote part of the story from one of the main characters' perspectives.
Do they say which author wrote which part? They don't actually say, do they? I mean, one is in blue and one is in red on the cover. I actually checked this book out of the library at school. I mean, I listened to the audiobook too. But our school had this book in the library, so I checked it out because it was available. But yeah, so on the cover, one author is blue and one author is red.
Yeah.
But I don't think it says who wrote which part.
Max Gladstone wrote red, and Amal wrote blue.
Okay. So that's the same as the cover on the book then.
Yes. At least that's what this responder said on Goodreads.
Yes. Actually, one of the things I was thinking was it's probably tough to write like this because you're always going to get compared to the other author. Because you're writing in the same book, right? So I didn't compare them, so it's fine for me, but it was just kind of interesting.
Before anything else, This Is How You Lose the Time War was written in 2019, and it won the Nebula for Best Novella of 2019 and the 2020 Hugo Award for Best Novella. As always, we'll provide a bit of a summary for you, although this one is going to be hard to summarize again. Why do I keep giving myself things that are really hard to summarize?
I was actually curious as to how you were going to summarize this one.
I might have to give this one a very short summary. But if you haven't read the story, you should read it first before you get going. But if you do need a refresher and you've already read it before, that's what I'm here for. So This Is How You Lose the Time War is a thriller and a romance story spread throughout multiple timelines. Two agents on opposite sides of a time war begin corresponding with each other through letters left on their unconventional battlefields. At first, Blue leaves a letter for Red, as a parting shot. In another time strand, Blue receives a response, declaring victory over the other in that instance. And then the correspondence takes off, each letter a risk, as their respective sides would fear corruption from the other. But the two agents continue nonetheless. And eventually, they develop feelings for the other. And eventually, when Red is forced to make a poisonous letter to Blue, she warns Blue not to read the letter. Don't read this letter. But Blue reads it anyway. She has to. And then Red has to go through all the previous times, recover pieces of their past correspondences, and eventually use those to save Blue. And in doing so, she is revealed to have betrayed her own side. And in prison, the story ends with another agent, the agent being Blue, breaking her out, and with one simple acknowledgement. Regardless of their respective countries, they're now together. So, first and foremost, based on messages that you sent earlier, I'm curious on what you thought about this one, because this is a different type of story than what we normally read.
I think so. I think this book is so-so. I gave it a 4-star in Goodreads, as I just put it in there now.
Okay.
I found it hard to get into. And I think it's because of the letter writing nature of the book. I don't like reading letters. There's too much fluff around the topic. I wanted there to be more plot, I think. The last quarter of the book, there's a lot of plot in a little time. It starts about halfway where I think Red realizes that her commandant is noticing things. Maybe so it starts about halfway through.
Yep.
About there, that's where it started getting interesting to me again. So I think the first half of the book was hard to get through for me because there wasn't much happening. I think one of the things that frustrated me a little bit, I mean, it didn't deter me, but it frustrated me a little bit was I liked getting in. I wish there was fewer of it, but I did enjoy getting into the scenes of, oh, okay, this is where they are in history, right? I actually kind of liked that setup, but then you are flung away from it so fast. It's like, okay, now we're out of that. We're going somewhere else now. So I was kind of disappointed in that. We didn't get to hang out. I mean, she spent a year as an apprentice, things like that. It's like when she spent 10 years in the war somewhere.
Mm.
It's like, wow, we don't get to hear any of that. I want to hear some of that. Finally, when I learned all of what's going on, we're flung away somewhere else. So I think I was frustrated in those things. The letters were fluff. So those things in the first half of the book frustrated me a lot. And then we finally get into plot in the second half of the book, and I'm like, oh, okay, things are moving along now.
Yeah, in retrospect, this probably wasn't, based on the type of reader you are and the type of things that you are usually drawn to, this probably wasn't the best fit for you.
Mhm.
I will fully admit that.
But I did like the timey-wimey stuff. I mean, and it did it well at the end. Like, ooh.
Yeah, that's the thing is, for me, the reason why I loved this book was because I love the timey-wimey things, but also they are very poetic
Oh, yeah.
in their letter writing, in the way they describe things, in the way that they hide the messages to each other. It's all very poetic. And I really like that.
Yeah, I think that pushed me away a little bit. The poeticness of the letters pushed me away a little bit.
I think that's why I say that in retrospect, this probably wasn't a great fit of a story for you because of that poetic nature.
Mhm.
In thinking back upon it, because it is more poetic, it does take more. It's not a book that you can allow yourself to read as you're kind of dozing. It's one where you have to give your full attention to this.
Yes.
Because of how they use the language.
Yeah, in fact, I had to start the book a second time because I was browsing the web while I was reading it the first time, and I'm realizing I don't even know what's happening anymore. I need to start this book again. And that's actually one of the reasons why I checked the book out of the library, is because then I could sit on my bed and listen to the reader and follow along in the physical book at the same time. And that helped me get through the first part enough. Then when things started picking up, I didn't need the physical book anymore. So, yes, I agree with that. In some ways, I mean, it's not as bad, but I did feel like I was reading a Jane Eyre novel at the beginning where the English is difficult and I'm having to plow through it.
I can understand that. For me, like I said, I loved the poetic nature of those letters, but I also really like the timey-wimey things and the world building that you got glimpses of through, like, oh, they're in this place and, oh, this is how they found the letter. All that stuff. I loved both of those things where they found the letter in the bones of a monk who was in the cave, and then in the type of tea that they had brewed, and in all these different things. I loved all of that. And that was why, for me, this book hit all the right notes. Because, as you know, for me, I am that weird balance of an English teacher and a history teacher, but also a tech person. So I like the poetic stuff. That poetic nature is beautiful to me. Whereas I also love hearing about the world building, which is what I thought. And I knew that that part would capture you, but you're right. That mainly comes into focus in the second half of the book. And so those are the things that really stick out to me, is the fact that, like, yeah, that world building is awesome, but also I can fully admit that, yeah, for people who maybe that poetic style of writing isn't their bag, it can be a hard path to get to the thing that they actually want to get to, which is the world building. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. A few questions.
Sure.
Do we ever learn what a seeker is? It seems like it's like a cleanup bot, right? That's cleaning up after their history changes. Is that correct?
Well, when Red was talking about her seeker, the person who was basically seeking them, is that what you're talking about?
Well, they talk about a seeker. Every time they find the letter, they're talking about a seeker, I thought.
Oh, yeah. That's because Red talks about her seeker and the thing that is following her. Well, you remember how, and spoilers for those of you who haven't read it, which if you've gotten to this point, you should have stopped because of my previous warning. You remember how she said, basically, when she realized that she had to go back to all of the previous instances where they had talked and left letters, and she had to get pieces of those letters. She was the seeker. So Red was the seeker who was following after and gathering all those pieces.
Mm-mm.
So it was just them calling the being that was coming and collecting all these pieces something without giving away the fact that it was Red who was doing it all along.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense then. Let's talk a little bit about them, I guess. One of the things I was realizing is that they are human to a point, right?
To a point.
It seems like they're very technically engineered humans.
Well, I would say one of them, at least based on what is revealed about their world, one of them is what I would describe as technically engineered, and the other would be what I would say would be more biologically engineered.
I didn't actually catch Red's origins maybe then. Blue was definitely grown in something.
Yeah, in the garden. So they talk about the commandant and the garden a lot. And Red, when she talks about things, will talk about certain pieces of technology that are implanted and things like that. So
to keep her from having to eat or
all that sort of
Who's
stuff.
the one that changes shape? Blue is the one that's changing shape. Is that what the correct?
Both of them have the ability to change shape in certain manners. It's the fact that both of them, as they travel through time, are mutable.
They don't seem to age much either.
Many times it sounds like they're almost sending back parts of their consciousness and being reborn into different locations. Again, they give you just these glimpses of this world building because a lot of it is correspondence to a member of the enemy. At least from how I read it, Red was in a civilization that was more technologically dependent, whereas Blue seemed to be one that was more like biologically engineered. Yeah, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Biologically engineered and kind of like an interconnectedness because everything was tied to the roots to each other.
I think one of the things I did like about this book was that it didn't necessarily focus on one timeline.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing the fact that they talk about all the strands is they're talking about parallel universes also.
Yeah.
They're not only trying to win in their timeline, they're trying to win in all the timelines, which is an interesting thing.
Exactly. That's the idea, is because based on what happens in this one instance, it breaks off into all these different possibilities, and these different strands will be those different possibilities.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I liked that science fiction part of it. I was like, ooh, they're crossing strands and trying to solve things in these places, and they've numbered them all, which is interesting.
Well, I mean, how else are you going to keep track of which one you're supposed to go to?
Yeah, I guess so, right? Some kind of address.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I struggled with this a little bit. I don't think it's a problem with the book. I think it's a problem with how I see the world, I guess. Maybe it's a problem. Problems may be strong too, but I don't get the whole falling in love with somebody over letters. I don't think I could do that. Oh, okay, that's a nice letter. Done reading. Next letter. I don't think that's for me, which is fine. It's not for me. I guess it can be for some people. But no, I don't fall in love with people by reading their words, which is, I think, one of the reasons why I really liked, we talked about Passengers as our first episode, right? One of the things I really liked about that thing is because him waking up that girl just based on his readings and thinking that he will love her based on his readings, I'm thinking, wow, that's very sketchy, because I could see myself thinking the same thing and then fighting with myself because, no, I just know her writings. I don't really know her. And not to say that she's not putting herself in her writings, and not to say that these aren't either, but I would have a hard time believing that the whole personality is written in writings. So anyway.
To counter argue that, I would say that there are two things. Number one, a letter is a far more deeply personal type of writing than the news articles that would be in
in Passengers.
In Passengers.
I would agree with that too, yeah. So
in addition to the fact that you're putting more of yourself in a letter, you're also specifically addressing the receiver. It is a letter designed not only to express what you think, but your words and what you want the person who is receiving that letter to know of you.
Well, and that's one thing too. I was skeptical, and I think I was thinking that it potentially could have been Blue that was pulling the wool over Red's eyes and perhaps leading Red on.
And that's one of the things that Red struggles with at certain points in the story, is she believes the same thing.
So I was kind of waiting for that shoe to drop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it never did, obviously. But yeah, I was curious about that.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing that I was going to say is, especially for Red and Blue, before they started writing letters to each other, they knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't interact, but they saw each other's effects as they moved across the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
These letters had started because of a mutual respect
Mm-hmm.
from how they acted and how they treated each other on the battlefield.
Yes, yeah, I do think the respect was definitely there. Mm-hmm.
And so I think if you consider that they already knew about each other and how they acted and their MO before they even started writing those letters, if you understand that plus what's expressed in the letters, I can see how one could fall in love through those things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are people who fall in love through interactions in online.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know of people who have fallen in love with, and ended up marrying somebody who they met through a online game. I don't think that I'd ever be somebody who would be able to do that, but there are people who do, and people who are willing to put themselves out there in what they say to each other through correspondence that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think that's a wonderful thing, and some people can express themselves that way.
Right. And maybe it's just my inexperience in that, right? Maybe if I had experienced something like that, I would have more understanding of it.
Mm.
But since I didn't, I guess I just have less experience of it, so I just can't put myself in that situation, perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all it is, too.
Well, I mean, part of it is also, you did say that the letters are actually the thing that you were like, about.
Yeah.
And so, given that, having the letters be the part that you're not too jazzed about, I assume that you're not the type of person who wrote a lot of letters like that.
No, I write emails. They're a pain in the neck. I write them short and sweet as much as possible.
I think that's the other side of things, is some people express themselves through letters, and some people would much prefer to face-to-face talk to people who they care about.
Yes, I best express my thoughts verbally.
Yeah.
Although best is a very interesting word to use there. I can sometimes express my thoughts verbally. Let me say it that way. I'm not very good at expressing my thoughts, but when I do, they mostly come out verbally.
Should we ask your wife about that one?
She will say I don't express my thoughts. Even when I'm writing a long email or long email, even when I'm writing an email that I have to express thoughts on, I have to process it verbally first with somebody else usually, and then I can write it down. So anyway, yeah, that's probably true.
I think that might be part of it too.
I did very much like how the book ended. One of the questions I had toward the end coming was, oh my goodness, is this going to be a Romeo and Juliet? She drank the poison, so I'm going to drink the poison. I'm glad it didn't go there. I'm very glad it didn't go there. Again, they have time travel as a tool, so use it. So she went back in time and changed her immunity. She's now immune to iocane powder. So good on her. I did think that was a good end. And I did kind of end the book kind of dripping with, oh my goodness, can they end the time war? Can they be bridging their groups together? I'm kind of hoping that could be true, but of course we get no answer to that question.
We get no resolution on that.
No, but that's fine. That's the kind of cliffhanger I probably want to be on. I did like the time stuff, and I enjoyed how the book ended, which I was very pleased with, because I was like, oh, I hope this is not Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Please don't drink the poison too. So yeah, I appreciated that.
I thought that you would appreciate that part of it.
Yeah, it wasn't a happy ending either. Like, it wasn't, because Red's still in jail. Blue's out somewhere, but Red's still in jail. I would assume Blue's going to break her out or something like that.
That's what the whole last scene was.
Yeah, is that Blue's breaking her out, and they're going to enjoy some life somewhere.
Was Blue breaking her out? That was the whole last scene.
Okay. But I guess then the question, are they going to either run away or heal their nations? Which we don't know that.
And honestly, my money's on Runaway.
Yeah. I did kind of appreciate that they were characters that were good at their jobs. Like, they're the Jason Bournes of their countries fighting together.
They were basically like the top agents. Actually, one thing that I found out while I was looking into things was the fact that the two of them had written a general outline beforehand, the two authors, but wrote the letter and then sent it to the other person. So they were actually surprising each other with their writing. They had written the general outline, but then when it came to the actual letters, they wrote the letter and then sent it and then had the response. I think that that's an excellent way to have a genuine reaction. So I found that very interesting.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be a favorite book.
Yeah. And, that's fine.
I feel like this is the opposite of The Giver, right? Where I really like The Giver and you're like, yeah, it's okay. And then you're like, I really like this book. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay.
And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I think it's a good thing for us not to... We are different people and have different opinions about books. There are certain types of books that I really like, that they're good in some aspects to you, but they're not great in everyone. And in the same way, there's certain stories that will just hit all the right notes for you. And for me, they kind of go, they're all right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that it's quite all right for us to have that differing opinion.
Yep. Me too. Otherwise, we'd have a very boring podcast.
Oh, yeah. No, who would listen to that? Yeah, like I said, I think for me, it's the fact that it hit both of the sides of my brain that really like this. It feeds the side that loves the poetic, and it hits the side that loves the timey-wimey branching narrative of a multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I like this story, and I love this story, and I wanted other people to read it. So, what are you bringing for me next time?
Next time, we have the third book in our Wayfarer series. We've done The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and Closed in Common Orbit, but now we have Record of a Spaceborne Few. It is the third book in this Becky Chambers series, so I am looking forward to reading it. I read it over Christmas break, so I'll be reading some of it again. So I'm looking forward to that.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to read it.
Yeah, I think it'll be an exciting book continuing on in this series.
Well, I'll make sure to dig in before our next episode. So, we hope you enjoyed our conversation on This Is How You Lose the Time War, but the conversation doesn't have to end here. The discussion can continue with us through Reddit at r/myhilltodieon, or contacting us through Twitter at myhilltodieon. You can also reach us by email at, which is to no one's surprise, myhilltodieon@gmail.com. And finally, we upload all of our episodes to our YouTube channel, which is also named, say it with me now, folks, My Hill to Die On.
I didn't know you could get Among Us for the Switch. Sorry, just looking at this game on the Switch store.
Oh yeah, you can
buy Among Us.
get Among Us on the Switch. Yeah, you can get a lot of things on the Switch. You could actually utilize the Switch that you own.
My daughters could. That's the scary thing. They play with like 3 phones each so that they can have enough players and get multiple, what do you call them? The bad imposters, multiple imposters.
And they're playing with 3 phones each?
Yeah, I know. So sometimes when 2 of their own phones are imposters, or when 2 of the girls each have 1 imposter and the other girl doesn't have any imposters, like I think that's the situation that's bad. And that happens often, I think. Because it's like, wait a minute. Now you're just trying to both gang up on the 3 phones of the girl who does not have the imposter.
Yeah, pretty much.
Actually, one of the things they do is they play hide and seek sometimes. They move their guys around so where you can't find them, and then somebody has to go find it. It's kind of fun. I mean, they do different things.
Yeah,
they have fun.
Hide and seek is a fun little thing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there are some mods for that make it really interesting, where you can make, again, this is a PC version of it to do the mods, but
yeah,
you can make your character invisible and then put an item, like you're wearing the item on your head,
mm-hmm.
like a hat,
mm-hmm.
and that way you have something that identifies that you're there, but you then just try to blend in.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen that done a couple of times, and I thought that was interesting. But yeah, again, I don't tend to play games like that.
I wonder how much it is on the Japanese store. It's $20 on the American store.
I got it when it was on sale. That's the thing, is because I watch sales, my problem is I own so many games because I just wait for sales, and then when something goes on sale, I'm like, I've never thought about this game, but suddenly now that it's $4, I'm really interested in this game.
Oh, it's not in the Japanese store.
It's not in the
Really?
Japanese store. But yeah, like I said, there's several games that I own that I wouldn't own except for the one time that it went to $4 and I went, oh, well, I've never thought about this game before, but now I clearly want it now that it's $4.
I really want it now. I wouldn't have considered it before.
Which is why I have a obscene number of games.
I finished watching Kim's Convenience. Have you finished?
I have not finished.
It's pretty good. It's definitely funny. It's definitely good for some laughs. My favorite character is definitely Kimchi.
Where did I leave off? I'm in the season where...
I think you're in the last season already, right?
I think I'm in the last season, at least the last season that's been made, because aren't they still technically still making?
Yes. I think they're filming season 5 now, or editing or something. I think it's in production.
Yeah. So it is still in production.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we watched all the way to the end of season 4. But it was definitely weird, since now I'm watching Mandalorian season 2, to see Appa in Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah.
When he leaves Cara Dune on that planet, I just wanted him to say at the end, "Okay, see you."
That is the problem of watching shows where somebody who we've watched several seasons of in different things. It's the struggle I always have whenever I watch anything with Alan Tudyk, and it's not exactly the same as Wash.
Well, and the fact that he speaks perfect English in Mandalorian too, it's like, wait a minute. He doesn't speak with his broken Korean accent.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to say something that might surprise you. He's an actor.
Yeah, I know already. It's kind of funny.
Well, it's right up there with when you've watched enough of, like, Benedict Cumberbatch,
and
then you watch him in any of the Marvel movies. And so...
Hear him speaking with an American accent.
Speaking with an American accent.
And
you're just like, that voice, no.
Well, actually, in For All Mankind,
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to the podcast of the new For All Mankind season, and I did not know, but one of the astronauts in there is British. And when she talks on the podcast with her British accent, I was like, whoa, that's completely different than how I see her in the show. So quite funny.
I am curious on how new people find us. I'm sure it's mostly just word of mouth.
I'm also curious as to, we keep announcing all of our social media.
Yeah.
Still haven't gotten like anybody using it.
Well, then again, we also don't really use it outside of announcing the new episodes.
Yeah, well, there's nobody to have a conversation with if somebody isn't there to converse with.
True. Otherwise, we'd just be talking to ourselves. And we can do that.
Already.
Yeah, we already do that.